Welcome to Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Craig Campbell. How are you doing, Craig?
Hey, I'm doing excellent, Barry. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I can't believe it's Monday, man. We made it all the way through the weekend and timely sports show. So many things happening, not in a national scene, local scenes all over the place, internationally, Olympics coming around. I'm so excited.
Me too. How was your weekend, by the way?
Oh, my weekend was great. You know, we're out here in the Palm Springs area. A little bit of more than just an advisory. We got heat advisories out here, as you know. Death Valley, 130 degrees. So we're fortunate. You know, when it's 120, it's kind of comfortable.
Yeah, I mean it is hot as hell. That's what I will say about the Palm Desert area.
You know, but it rained, Barry. We had rain though. In addition to that, this weekend when I was out taking a walk, yes, it was warm. Yes, it was hot. But then all of a sudden the rain came out. This is a spectacular place year round to be able to hike, get outdoors, and play sports. And it's definitely going on.
And it rains like what, 10 days out of the year out here? Like 5 days out of the year out here? When Tony made that song, "It Never Rains in Southern California." They were talking about the Indio Coachella Valley area.
Right here. I know. I know. Well, you know what? We get so excited. It was just sprinkling and, you know, the videos came on. You know, people are sending them to me. They're like, it's raining. It's going crazy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Better than an overtime game.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we had a great game last night. We had game 3 of the NBA Finals. The Bucks won 120-100. We will break down that game in a little while, but it was a strong performance from Giannis Antetokounmpo. I was excited to see
41 points by your man there, and in a winning effort. He was 42 the night before, or the last time, but didn't translate. And so this one was a big one. Brought all his team along, and they were pretty decisive in that 120-100 game there.
And he's the first player since Shaquille O'Neal, and they're the only two that have actually had 40 points and 10 plus rebounds in back-to-back NBA Finals games. So this man is pretty dominant, and it's exciting to watch him bounce back and be able to have such a great game 3. Now, you know who needs to bounce back? Team USA. Now, I warned everyone last week that we are sending out a roster that is not comparable to the rosters that we've sent out in the past. We have Kevin Love on the team, Zach LaVine, Bam Adebayo. These are not the top 20 players in the NBA. We lost to Nigeria, Craig. 87-90. We lost by 3 points. And it was a shocking defeat because the last time we played Nigeria was 5 years ago. We beat them by 48 points. And 8 years ago, we beat them by 80-something points. So
are you worried? I mean, Barry, you think this is going to translate into the Olympics, or are they going to get it figured out and somehow what you're saying, it's not a dream team. We want some of the dream teams back, our best playing.
Exactly.
And right now the season's not on, so you would think that we could have fielded maybe a team that was more competitive. Are we going to be competitive in the Olympics?
We are not going to win the gold medal, in my opinion. We got this team. This Nigerian team has NBA players that are probably not getting any playing time in the NBA right now. You probably don't know one name on that roster. They're not household names. But yeah, we didn't sit out. We're not sitting out our best competition, and we are probably going to, in my opinion, maybe get the bronze or the silver because we have other teams like Slovenia, led by Luka Doncic. We have Australia, who was a team full of NBA superstars or NBA stars, and we have other teams that are gonna pose more problems for us. So I really feel like this is just a microcosm of what's to come.
Hey guys, we want to thank you. This is Go Long with Barry Long 2, and we are coming at you in Palm Desert and in Indio in our studios, and we are streaming live on Coachella Valley YouTube, on Today's California, and also on Facebook on Coachella Valley. Thank you, guys. Tell us where you're at. Tell us where you're from, and definitely join in the show and let us know what's going on. All right.
Yeah, and they can comment, and we can pop the comments right up on the screen, and we can interact live with whoever's watching. We appreciate everyone for subscribing to the show and subscribing to CoachellaValley.com and Today's California. And please share the posts. We would greatly appreciate that. Now.
Hey, oh, wait a minute. Hey, KJ, thank you so much. I see that you're getting into the politics here, but we're going to be talking about sports. There's plenty of politics there. We'll just bypass the Newsom recall that's definitely coming up in California to talk a little bit about sports. But we thank you. for joining us. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Share this with a friend, and make sure you stream it to your favorite digital device.
Now, Craig, we are in an area where soccer is very, very popular out here. And we didn't have the World Cup, but we had what's called the Euros. Now, did you get a chance to watch this game last night and see Italy defeat England?
I did. Hey, just to let you know, Barry, your microphone's going a little bit of haywire there.
Okay.
It's breaking up a bit, but I definitely saw that game. It was an incredible game. Of course, Italy wins in shootouts. England scores in the first 2 minutes. It's been 55 years since that Italy hoisted that trophy.
Yep.
Although, can you imagine this? In 2018, Italy didn't even qualify for the World Cup, even though they have World Cup trophies. And here they come, winning the, Europe Championship against England in Wembley. 67,000 fans were there. It was hard to hear. It would have been a very difficult place to play, and they were able to pull it off. 2 minutes into the game, England Shaw scores, and in some ways, that might have been a detriment for them because they seemed to go from a very attacking first half in that very first 10, 15, 20 minutes. And as they got that lead and they pulled up into the second half, they really started to pack in and allow Italy to get its short game going, able to pass that ball around. They were able to put so many more people into the actual goal area, and it translated into shots. And then ultimately, 67 minutes in, they get the evenizer, the tiebreaker, and they go into post time, overtime, and it was exciting all the way down to kicks at the end. England also had a 1-0 advantage, actually 2-1 advantage in the kicks, and they still couldn't pull it off, missing their last 3 penalty kicks. A lot of thinking by the coach on the England side. He brought in 2 players in overtime with just minutes to go in the game to bring them in so that they could kick penalty kicks if necessary. And both of those gentlemen missed their kicks. And so it was like a little bit of an overthinking. A young man, I think 19 years old, kicked the very last kick. It was devastating for him. He was completely crushed. And Italy hoists the Euro trophy once again. Was pretty exciting. I loved it. I enjoyed it. We have our own Coachella women's team here, high school team, going to the national championships. And I think that's really also super exciting. We are in an area where soccer's incredible, very, very busy. And that game was super special for a championship game. Had every single thing that you might have wanted, except for perhaps maybe some more goals.
And then it had even more than everything that you wanted. It had a riot afterwards. The fans were pretty excited for the victory.
I'm going to break you for a second because your speaker's still off. I'm going to remove you and bring you back and see if it helps at all.
Okay.
All right, there you are.
We are back with Go Long Live.
Oh my gosh, that sounds perfect. There you go. Can hear you, my friend.
Sometimes you got to work the kinks out, man. We are Go Long Live. I am Barry Long too. This is Craig Campbell with todayscalifornia.com and CoachellaValley.com. We thank you for tuning in. And we're just talking some headlines right now. So now we go from football to a different type of football Americano. All right, this is the Washington football team has come out and they have announced that they are no longer going to seek out a new name. Now, there were some different names. Now, you're a Washington football fan.
Born and raised in the D.C. area. Okay. You must do a blood ceremony to get into 6th grade, and you must commit to the Washington football team. It's really difficult for me to not add the Redskins to it just because, I've said it for so many years.
Yeah.
But the Washington football team is my team. Unfortunately, we have not had a lot of success. And really, since Snyder's been there, it's been tough. The culture's been tough. These owners can really do some damage to these teams. He's arrogant. He's had so many challenges, troubles, publicly and privately. And it really does affect a team. So, but anyway, what you were telling me is that they decided just to keep the Washington football team. It's not changing.
It's WFT and it should be WTF because I don't like that name at all. But yeah, they're going to stick with the Washington football team. And they had some suggestions for names. They were going to come up with the Washington Warriors, which I kind of like, but that is still, under that umbrella of names that are sensitive. So I mean, it still kind of sounds like a Native American themed name. So they're not going to go with that one. They would go with the Washington Generals. But the fans like the Washington football team name. Do you like the name?
Oh no, I don't, because it's I stumble over it. The Washington football team. I don't know. What do you gonna call them? Team? If you're like, go Roadrunners, go team, go
Exactly.
team. I don't know. It's not maybe as endearing. Maybe give me a few more years with it. Give me a championship of some sort. I'll forgive them. They can call themselves whatever they want.
Yeah. The thing is that when you ask Siri, hey Siri, what was the score of the Lakers game? She'll say the Lakers defeated the Suns, something such and such to such and such. So during the football season, I asked, hey Siri, who played Washington today? And she said the Browns defeated the football team, and and that's their nickname. So it's just it will never sit right with me. I'm from Virginia as well. I had a starter jacket that was a Washington Redskins starter jacket. That was my first starter jacket. So I too had the blood ceremony, but I decided I got smart, I got wise, and I decided to switch over to the Baltimore Ravens as a kid. So I've been a Ravens fan basically my entire adulthood. And I have a lot of friends back home who are Washington football team. Yeah, see, I stumbled over the name just like you said, fans. And it's just one of those things where I think they need to figure it out. They need a nickname. That's not going to stick.
I like the WTF.
Imagine if they had.
I think they should work that out, because it makes you feel that way a little bit. I completely understand it. I'm glad they finally got it done, because it was controversy for so long. Why not go ahead and change the name and bring yourself into the 21st century? I don't think there's any really issue with that, in my opinion. They made the decision, but they are struggling with the name. Names are tough. Naming babies, it's a difficult thing. And there was a big book of names. And I think that's part of the problem is, if you do name it something, someone else is going to be disappointed. Like you said, Warriors, and you're already like, well, that conjures up this or that. Too much thinking. That's probably why they didn't change it. Redskins, I saw Doug Williams win live at San Diego, playing Denver, of course, winning the MVP. Was really an incredible opportunity to watch him. Redskins were down 10-0 in that game, ended up winning 42-10, 35 points in the second quarter. One of the greatest explosions probably actually was the greatest explosion in Super Bowl history of offense by the then known Washington Redskins, now the Washington football team.
And that was the Joe Gibbs era. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Mr. Gibbs.
And, Mr. Gibbs he was fantastic. Yes, I hope that they do decide ultimately on a name, because I just don't. This is going to set an unhealthy precedence in the rest of the league. You might have another team switch their name, and then they might become the Pittsburgh football team. And I just think that it's opening up a can of worms, and we should not accept that name at all. In my opinion.
Maybe it should be the Washington 11, the Washington 53.
Okay.
I don't know. See, I just don't even know.
All right. Now, did you get a chance to see what happened to Conor McGregor? He is the number one. He's probably the most popular UFC mixed martial artist in the world. And he was fighting Dustin Poirier for the third time. And as you can see on the screen, that is what happened to his leg. He missed. He went in for a punch. He missed a punch. And then he went to step back, and he just lost his leg. He ended up with a fractured tibia and fibula. And the best part about it is that when he's sitting there, he's obviously in pain. He's obviously upset because in UFC, if you have an injury like that, you break your leg, then you lost the fight. And it's basically by forfeit, but you lost the fight, and it goes against your record. But he's sitting there on the ground. He's being attended to by the medical personnel, and he literally is talking smack about the guy who just fought his wife, and he's talking about, your wife's in my DMs, and he's just he's a showman. And it kind of just reminds you of, like Ric Flair back in the day with the WWF. He was the high-fiving and the limousine riding. He just had that swag and that flair with the microphone. And Conor McGregor, he did not waste any second being on camera without using his personality. And just to see somebody that has that kind of injury, it was amazing.
Yeah, John says he clearly cracked it earlier, and then he was talking smack on the ground. He thought it was pretty pathetic. I know, I know that McGregor definitely brings out some animosity. You know, you either love him and you like the moxie and who he is and that character because it's so strong, or you don't. You dislike him, and he's the enemy, and you want him to lose. You want his leg to break. You want him on the ground. That's what he brings out in people. You know, I was at Wildest watching some of the games at UFC, preview before it came on. And you could just hear the rumbling of because they were 1-1 going into it. This was the rubber match.
Yep.
So that's why it was such a buildup. McGregor won the first one, lost the second one. And then, this was going to be, hey, what's going to happen? Unfortunately, broken leg, you don't really get to see the competition. We didn't get to see the fight, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was he's one of those polarizing figures, and you're like you said, people do want to see him lose. Some people want to see him win, but I think that he's good for the sport just because he's drawing numbers. He's bringing in eyes that would not normally be watching UFC, to watch all of these pay-per-view events, and he's definitely making a lot of money for Dana White. Now, he also went back to and had surgery. He had surgery in Las Vegas, and after his surgery, he went back on the social media talking more smack, saying that the guy did not really win, and he will be back. And one thing we do know about Conor McGregor is that he's definitely diligent and persistent, and he's a hard worker. And I fully expect him to fully recover and come back, but I just don't know if he will be the same Conor McGregor. He hasn't been the same Conor McGregor probably since the Nate Diaz fight. So it'll be interesting to see how this injury kind of affects his career moving forward. But
so he had pins and things put in. Is that what happened? Do you actually have a plate and pins? Do you know how many that he actually had installed?
I do not know exactly how many he had installed. It just said the update was just that he just got out of surgery, and it was a successful surgery. I imagine there's pins, needles, there's all types of stuff in there. So it is. It's a bad break. If you look at it, it's one of those gruesome injuries. Like Alex Smith.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just, that looks like it's a compound fracture about to come out of the skin. So UFC is a brutal sport, a very brutal sport, but it's one of the most popular sports right now. And he is one of the most popular members of that sport. So we hope to see him bounce back. And who doesn't like a good smack talker? He out smack talked Floyd Mayweather, and I never thought that anybody could out trash talk Floyd Mayweather. But he said, "Oh, you like Money Mayweather? Well, I'm Money McGregor," and he's a showman. Now we are going to move on to a segment called Meme of the Day.
Speaking of showman,
Sons and Four is our guy. We have documented this guy. We've talked about him a lot. It's a great story. The guy who beat up the fans. He was almost being jumped at a game. He beat up two fans, and then after the fight, he goes Sons and Four. Well, the meme of the day, this guy really went from slaying Jamal Murray fanboys to meeting Jamal Murray himself. This guy's 15 minutes of fame. This guy's 15 minutes of fame has become like 15 days of fame. And it feels like even though the Suns aren't going to win in 4, obviously because they lost game 3, if they win in 5, I feel like they're going to rehash him up, and then he'll become the Suns in 5 guy.
Maybe he should be the new UFC champion. Maybe he should go against the other guy. They should do round 2. Put some gloves on, so that you're not able to use the whatever they were using there with the one seat up here, one seat up here. He was pretty smart. He grabbed that guy, had him, and you could see he kind of brought him down. The guy was out of balance, did some uppercuts. We had your boy make some comments there from La Quinta, Brad, that had mentioned that he thought he could use a little work in his approach.
Well, we sat down with Brandon Lee, the professional boxer. Yeah, and he and B. Lee said that he had some pretty good technique, but he had some stuff that he could work on. But
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
that was his first comment. Is that technique could be worked on a little bit. Leave it to a professional fighter to get right down to it.
Straight down to the nitty and gritty. Now, we had a meme last week on Friday's show. This was the meme for Friday's show. When you do nothing for the group project, but still get an A+. And I highlighted and documented how that guy's name is Tyshawn Alexander, and he has not played all season long, Craig. He has not gotten into the game one time. He's simply there to fill out the roster. And then I said they should put him in the game just because if he gets a ring, his kids are one day going to look at the mantle and say, Dad, hey, you are an NBA champion. And he wants to be able to say, hey, yes, son. And
here's the score line. Here's the bucket. If you're not on the score line, did you really play the game? I mean, that's always the question.
You get a DNP next to your name.
That's right.
So this guy got in. Granted, it was garbage time. The Suns were down. This guy got in the game, and he scored 2 points, Craig. He played 1 minute and scored 2 points. So
imagine being so good that you're a professional, that you get to this level, and yet when people think about you, they think, God, that guy doesn't really play basketball very well. These people are at the highest level you can possibly be. And you think about practicing, coming in every day, working hard, and never seeing that court. Very, very difficult position to play. Very necessary that a team has these types of players. But I'm really happy for him and his family that he was able to put those points up. And hopefully, man, they'll put him in for a little bit longer.
My theory is that either Monty Williams saw the show or Monty Williams saw that meme online, circulating online, and he was like, man, I can't do my guy like this. I got to get my guy in the game, and we got to get him some points. So shout out to Tyshawn Alexander for getting in the game. You did.
He looks good with that trophy in his hands.
Heck yeah, he looks good with that trophy now that he scored 2 points. Now we go from that story to the Bucks and the Suns game last night. Now it was a game that really felt like the Bucks just had control of the game from the start, and they controlled the pace, and it really showed you how serious that this home court advantage that everyone speaks of really is. I mean, you sleeping in your own bed, you probably wake up and you get to go to your favorite restaurant after the game. You're just in your natural habitat. And the other team is sleeping at a hotel. They're sleeping out of a suitcase. And like I said, when you're on the road, those rims get tighter and it's harder to make shots. And we saw last night that not one Suns player scored 20 points or more. The highest scorer was Chris Paul, who had 19 points and 9 assists. And Devin Booker really struggled last night from the field. He went 3 of 14. He only had 10 points and 2 assists. And I feel like if you cannot affect the game by scoring the basketball, then what you have to do as an elite player is you have to find other ways to affect the game. You have to be able to be a facilitator. You have to go out and rebound. You gotta lock down on defense. And he was just not able to do that. Now, this is the first time the Suns have made the playoffs in a long time. This is the first time Devin Booker has made the playoffs.
It's the first finals that they're actually in.
Yes. The first.
So not just the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is the first of the first actually being in the finals here. You know, you said something about playing at a home or away. And I have a theory on basketball in that particular sport, why it really does make a difference. Of course, you got the crowd. You've got those types of things. But because you sit in a gym and you shoot baskets in your gym, your background and every single thing that your peripheral mind and eyes see, and you're taking those shots over and over again, you make those adjustments at home. And I believe that your percentages go up because even though it's still 10 feet and you're maybe 8 feet out or you're 20 feet out or whatever the shot might be, when you're at someone else's stadium, the lights are different. The fans and the way they move and stand up are different. Even the players on each sideline are completely different. The colors of the courts are different. And as a result, I think it does affect playing away a little bit. Now, we're talking about professional, so it's just maybe it just translates into a point or half a point or tenth of a point. But that's my theory on why it's more difficult beyond just the fans to actually get your percentages up when you're playing away, because you haven't really taken as many shots there.
And not only that, I feel like another element added to that theory would be the refs. I mean, you see that most home teams get more calls. And because NBA fans are sitting so close to the actual playing field, to the court, that they're in close proximity to the referees and the officials. So there's what we call peer pressure. And if there's a call that could go either way, you got 20,000 people saying it's a foul. And eventually that's why we see more home teams get more calls. So yeah, I think that there is a definite home court advantage in the NBA. And we're seeing it right now. And there's going to be 4 games in Phoenix. There's going to be 3 games in Milwaukee. And what Milwaukee is going to have to do is they're going to have to figure out a way to play well on the road, and they're going to have to figure out a way to win a game in Phoenix.
A couple of things that was interesting when I was watching the Italy versus England game, and it went into overtime. It's not a sudden death situation in soccer. And then you go to shootouts. And I was talking to some people that said, shootouts are just so disappointing because the team doesn't really get to finish the game. You're not like finally playing like in football, they modify it, right?
Yeah.
You go to the 35-yard line, but you're still playing football to win. And basketball is the exact same thing. You go into overtime, you're still playing 5-on-5. It's not like, let's go do half-court shots now.
Yeah.
Let's do three-quarter, and whoever can make the best half-court shot wins the game. And so I thought it was an interesting topic about soccer or football, as it is around the world, that they go to these shootouts. It was told to me, and I thought this might be an interesting idea. What would happen if they just cut the team up into 5-and-5? In other words, you have 5 offense and 5 defense, and they cannot cross that half line. So it's 5-on-5 on each side. Okay. You could pass the ball into that playing zone. So therefore, 5-on-5, it opens it up. It's now becomes real soccer, but in a much more, you might end up scoring 2 or 3 goals in that 15-minute periods. Or you might go to a sudden death, which I think might create a little bit more action. Of course, the biggest challenge about soccer is that, if you play 11-on-11, you could go scoreless for days. So that's the challenge and why they ultimately bring in that element. But it's as exciting as it is, because I really like when it comes down to kicks.
Yeah.
The people that I were with made such a good point that what a sad way that the team itself, it comes down to one guy kicking, like a half-court shot. You win or lose.
Yeah, especially if it's been, an action-packed game and it's going back and forth. It would kind of be like the equivalency of the NBA. Instead of doing overtime, they're going to say, hey, let's just do a slam dunk contest. And one guy gets to go out there versus this guy.
Right.
And, yeah, the rest of the team doesn't really get to affect the outcome. I think that's a great point.
5-on-5 each half. Imagine that.
5-on-5.
And they can't cross over that half line, so you could be offsides. Each team is just, once it gets put into your play, it's 5 against 5, and of course the goalie's there. I think that would be pretty exciting.
I think it would be damn exciting, in my opinion. Now, we talked about the Suns aspect and how they struggled. Giannis Antetokounmpo, we talked about him earlier. He scored. Oh, that's an ugly picture of him. He scored 41 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and he only played 38 minutes.
I don't think you've ever put up a good picture of him yet.
I don't think he takes good pictures.
I think you're a Suns fan. I think that's what it is.
This is the face that I believe he's trying to make, the Kobe Bryant, what they call the stink face. That's the Kobe Bryant's face after he drills a game-winning shot or a go-ahead bucket. He lets you know that, and he's just disgusted with how great he is. This is what he's trying to do, and that is the worst attempt at the Kobe Bryant stink face I have ever seen.
I'm kind of disappointed with the NBA in this regard. Injuries. Because always going into playoffs, we seem to have these critical injuries, whether it's a Chris Paul or others. I mean, the Lakers decimated really going into the playoffs and once again, had injuries. Football's the same way, of course. Other sports, baseball, it's all there. Hockey, all a part of it. But it's disappointing sometimes to not see the best players really play and be able to play at their highest level and then see what that outcome's going to be. You get those injuries, they just change the complexion of things so drastically. Yes, I know you got to have a step up. You got to have people come in. You've got to have a team, and that's what's important. 12 players or what they field in the NBA. However, I still want to see the best players beat it out and really go at the end. That was the best team, not the best team that survived, but the best NBA team this year. I don't really know. Are the Suns really the best team this year? Or, are the Bucks, the best a group of players actually out on that field right now? I cannot say yes, even though they're in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, if you look at the rosters and you break down the rosters, probably the Brooklyn Nets would be the best roster on paper, and they didn't make it because of injuries. And that has been one of the major talking points this season with the NBA, with the quick turnaround and the way that they were playing these every other day games, we saw all the stars go out. But every year we do have injuries that kind of culminate at the end of the season, and they kind of shape out who's the champion. Like when the Warriors had all those injuries and Toronto Raptors won their championship. And this year it kind of feels that way. But I feel like the best story is Chris Paul with the entire playoffs, and people are really excited to watch a guy like that, a good guy like that, win in the end. So this is Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Craige Campbell, and we are starting this new venture, and we are just going to keep on chipping away, keep on plugging away. We thank everybody for tuning in, and we thank you for sharing the page. We thank you for going to Coachella Valley's Facebook, and please like the page, and then you'll be able to pop up live with us when we go live. So it's been a great day, Craige.
Oh, I'm having a great time. I really look forward to coming on here with you. We were going to talk some cornhole, I thought.
Oh, well, first of all, I am not a cornhole professional, but I work out there at Agua Caliente for the cornhole events. Shout out to Desert for baggers, and shout out to Agua Caliente. And cornhole is a serious sport. I mean, these people are really, really good at it.
Did you say serious sport?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
These are athletes. These are athletes, Craige. It should be an Olympic sport because
we talked about this. We got curling. I don't know why we're just not doing cornhole in summer. We got curling for the winter.
Isn't curling that where they sweep?
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, they come and clean your house. They do the scrubber.
Yeah, that is awesome. But cornhole has been on TV lately. That they ESPN's been running the cornhole cornhole championships. Have you watched it?
I woke up with it. I watched cornhole, and then we went right into the soccer game championship, European championship. By the way, that was if you Google it, you could get a little bit confused about that because it still says 2020 European championship because it was postponed. And they actually still claim that to be the 2020 champion. Just a little side note there, a little bar talk there. But go ahead.
And that's what they're doing with the Olympics. I mean, I think they should just call it 2021. Let's just.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just too confusing because you'd be like, really? Did that play? Did we do that in 2020? I mean, when I first looked it up just to get some commentary and read a little bit about it for this show and just in general, I kept coming up with 2020, and I'm like, I think I'm looking at something wrong. And then I realized, no, they literally kept it 2020. Of course, played in 2021 because of policies and COVID.
Yeah,
I'm just glad they got it done. So many things are opening up. We were mentioning cornhole. I did watch it. I could not believe how stuck I was to it once the game got going.
Exactly.
I'm like, and then all of a sudden the guy curved it around a couple of bean bags and dropped it in there. I'm like, what is that? That's incredible.
I got caught up watching it too. I didn't even want to go to the restroom. I didn't want to leave the room because I had to see this guy. And they have these moves like where they call rolling the thing when it bounces over the other.
Did you see the roller? That was incredible. It's like blocked. Yes. The hole was blocked by like 3 bean bags, I guess they call them. And there's just barely room. And the guy literally hits the front one. It rolls over the other ones and slides right into the hole. And that's what he meant to do. I mean, they literally called it. The announcers are like, oh, he's got to do like a flip over roll shot. It's the only way he's going to get it in. And sure enough, the guy puts it down, wins his 3 points. And, the name's a little weird. I don't know. What is cornhole? Is there a history?
It should be a history. There probably is a history. It's one of those Southern games where you it's kind of like shuffleboard, where the first time you were introduced to cornhole or shuffleboard, it's probably
bigger than a cornhole. I mean, it's more like a grapefruit hole. Softball hole.
That's probably that has to be the origin of cornhole. Is it they were tossing beanbags into a hole where they pulled out some corn. But
it's like pickleball. I mean, let's get to that. I believe that there was a dog running around whose name was Pickle. When they got, I think this is the actual true story, and there became pickleball. Makes no sense.
Pickleball is taking over too as well. It's just a lot. There's a lot of people that are playing pickleball, cornhole, and these are not just the games that you would play in the backyard when you were having a barbecue and there's a keg around anymore. These are turning into serious sports, and we must call them athletes.
Pickleball is actually has a national championship now, as you know, that's played in the second largest tennis stadium in the world, which is right here in the Coachella Valley.
Wow.
Indian Wells Tennis Garden. It has the national championships for the next 4 years, Barry. What I was told, because I covered it not last year because it was COVID, but in 2019, the national championships signed a deal with the Indian Wells Tennis Garden right here, second largest tennis stadium in the world,
Wow.
and with ESPN to televise these national pickleball championships. And I believe before this, Barry, it had only been played in a mobile home park. The national championships had only occurred in a mobile home park. And then now here we have it, one of the largest stadiums in the world. Speaking of BNP, that's coming back as well in October.
Shout out to Larry Ellison.
We got Wimbledon going. So many things happening. It's going to be an exciting time to really see these players in October come out here. Normally we see them in April, late March, I think April. And now we're moving it to October. Weather will be about the same, but this town is excited once again to see major tennis come here. BNP always sells out. It's a massive crowd. Goes on for 2 weeks. One of only a couple of tournaments that have both men and women. And let me tell you something else that's very exciting about the BNP is that our particular tournament here, the purses are the exact same for men and women. And that is not happening at every single tournament. In addition to that, I believe they exceed 1.5 times the lowest level purse. So a lot of things that go on at the BNP here. There's a desire to want to see it be the kind of the 5th championship out there. And I could see it. It's certainly one of the richest, and it brings every single person. So we've gone from pickleball. Well, we were at Cornhole.
The pickleball. Straight over to
tell me what you were doing in Cathedral City. You said that you mentioned, what was the name of our local cornhole association?
Desert for Baggers.
Yeah, Desert for Baggers. So that's a group of, it's an amateur group of people that come out and play, or is there money involved?
There's money involved. There's definitely money involved, and there's a pot at the end of the tournament. And they also give back to charities, so it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of people. It's probably about 150 people, and they are all serious about cornhole. And when I first started working that event, I was thinking, I was like, hey, this is gonna be like being at somebody's backyard barbecue. But no, theyese people come out there. They've got jerseys, they've got uniforms. Craig, you
were a baseball player. You could do cornhole.
Yeah, I could do cornhole.
I know you and I should play a little bit because I just think it'd be a cathartic, fun, and I need to do something. And it makes me an athlete, I hear.
And you're probably going to get addicted to it, and then you're probably going to be, we'll end up being on ESPN playing cornhole as a team. Rolling the beanbags, right?
That's right, man. I'm in. I like it. I think it's my career and calling. I'm going to start working on it. I love cornhole. I've only done it a few times, but I really like, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun.
It really is. And this show is a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun today. And I appreciate everybody that was tuning in. We appreciate all the likes. We appreciate all the comments. And we will be going live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. Pacific time. This is Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Craig Campbell. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Wow. Talk to you next time. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.